Hi, Dr. Lee. Thanks
Hi.
very much for having this talk with us, and it's such a pleasure to meet you here. And so, first, congratulations for your recent publication about Shandong admission. And we have some questions for you about this journal article. And so, the first question I would like to ask is like, um, where and how did you come up with this topic?
The topic is based on a larger project of my PhD study. And my PhD study focused on the entrepreneurship of child education. Among all the topics, I think this problem about admission is quite interesting because it is conceptually new and theoretically robust. So I decided to write a paper about the shadow admission. So that's where I came up with the topic.
Yeah, I see. So you just mentioned, the theoretically robust and also quite new. And so, how do you convince yourself that this concept is very new?
Um, According to my data analysis, I found that shadow admission is largely based on brokerage. So you can see that in my article, brokerage is also a keyword uh, on the topic. And brokerage has been studied by a lot of researchers. So which, as far as I'm concerned, is theoretically robust. What shadow admission is a new term. We created it. So I can see that this is conceptually new and interesting to a wide range of shadow education researchers. So that's that's why I convinced myself the topic is conceptually new and theoretically robust.
Oh, great. Yeah, because actually this is my first time to know this term, Shandong admission. And because I know something about Shandong education, but I really didn't hear such thing about Shandong admission. So I think this is such a bold move, especially for young researchers. And sometimes we are concerned if we can't like with a new term and how do we convince other people to buy the concepts. Yeah, and yeah, how do you, so what is on your mind about this issue?
Uh, I already think the term is half new because
Mm,
shadow education has been widely recognized
mm,
in academia. And shadow admission is half new because it is closely related to shadow education. And we enrich the connotation of the term because it is not only about admission, it is about the shadow. The shadow is that it has cooperation with, the mainstream schools had cooperation with shadow education to recruit students. This is for one thing. The second thing is that they are doing something illegally, like a shadow,
okay, I see.
which metaphorized a gray area or illegal area in the market. So that's the reason why we are so confident this term will be very interesting to a lot of readers.
I see. Yeah, very creative and also quite thoughtful about this new term. Yeah, even you say it's half new, and but I think it will be quite an interesting phenomenon for future researchers to explore with. Yeah. Yeah, so following this is like as you mentioned, this research topic belongs to a larger project, and in that project, your focus is on entrepreneurship, and so entrepreneurship is also like such a big thing, and also the Shandong education is also a big field, and so with all kinds of different dimensions, how did you narrow down to this like the small field, the small concept?
Um, my streamline of thoughts to narrow down the topic went like this. So firstly is about entrepreneurship, and secondly is about child education entrepreneurship. and then the process of building shadow education businesses, and then what happened in the processes. And one particular thing in the process is admission, and then shadow admission. So I narrowed down the topic following the process of thoughts. And from another dimension, I also try to identify research gaps in shadow education, because the field of my research is shadow education, and you can see that a lot of researchers have done research on students, parents, private tutors, and a lot of things, but none of them had done research on operators of a private tutoring business. So that's the reason why I focus on those entrepreneurs of private tutoring business. So this is another dimension. You find the topic and then you focus on certain actors.
Yeah, I think this is a very good thinking method, and also you just through the broad field, and you logically narrowed down to a very interesting phenomenon. Yeah, I think it's something we can learn from. Yeah, thanks a lot, I mean, for your explanation about this. And then when I look further, I mean, when I further read your article, I also noticed that the data is very interesting, because like some of the participants mentioned, they even have to bribe the school principals in order to have that kind of relationship with elite schools. So how comfortable it is for the participants to talk with you about this kind of, um, kind of like very sensitive issues.
You need to plan strategically before going to the field. And you should also learn from the failures of your experience of conducting research. For example, I telephoned some of the participants. Would you like to join my research? I'm a PhD candidate from the University of Hong Kong. And they told me, really? You're a PhD candidate from the University of Hong Kong? If so, I'm a graduate from Harvard University. So something just like this. And I was rejected for several times, merely using email or telephone to contact the potential participants. And after that, I said I need to have more delicate strategies to approach those participants. And I imagine the ideal situation where I can get data from participants, and then I analyze what I should do in order to get that rich and reliable data, right? So I sense that we need a kind of friendship to get reliable data from those participants, and we need triangulation methods as well. So before I get the data from this entrepreneur, I try to make friends with him through a reliable gatekeeper working in the mainstream school, right? And I didn't tell the entrepreneur my purpose. If I told him that I want to get some data from your mouth, and then I would be rejected at once, okay, right? So after a period of communicating with each other, and I cannot say he had total trust in me, but some trust in me, and then I expressed my purpose. I told the entrepreneur, may you support me with my PhD project? I need data from your mouth. And he told me that you already know everything. Why should you let me say again what I've done? I said, this is the ethical code for social research. If I didn't get the words from your mouth, and then I was fabricating data, right?
Yeah.
If you told me again, even if you dislike it, and then I got the data, and then I'm doing research ethically. So in this way, I replanned my schedule of interviewing those entrepreneurs. I used a lot of time actually to establish the social network with those entrepreneurs. But the thing is that you need to be smart enough to identify the appropriate time to get data. For example, I also networked with some other entrepreneurs. They are doing business differently from this one. I know that it's really hard for me to go any further with them. So I interviewed them to get the data I want. So you need to sense the critical time to get the data. Okay.
Yeah, I think that is very important to get some credible, reliable, as well as rich data from our participants, particularly regarding the very sensitive ones. Yeah, it's very important to have some reports with the participants. Yes. And then in your finding, your study also suggested that the educational equity as well as the educational corruption is quite obvious. I mean, because of the Shandong admission. So in that way, so what is your implication of this study?
I think this study has implication for educational equality
Mhm.
In China first. China admission, as I mentioned, excluded a lot of students
Mm.
from the admission tests organized by mainstream schools in cooperation with the Shido system. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing. And secondly, it caused the involution of education because students and parents are exerting excessive efforts in doing those tests, but only some of them were admitted by mainstream schools. They invested a lot of efforts, but there was no satisfactory results. So educational involution. And thirdly, about the corruption, because the China admission were banned, prohibited by the Chinese central government. So they should do in a very covert way. So in order to get the access, entrepreneurs or those brokers need to establish social networks with mainstream admission teams. So in this process, some of the profits were pocketed by the mainstream schools leaders and some leaders from the education bureau. So these are the implications. And for a larger picture, you can see that when China wants to implement some of its policies, the policy implementation is also problematic because actors have some relevant responding strategies to deal with the policy implementation. So that's a saying in China, where there is a policy from the top, there will be responding strategies from the bottom. So you can see that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Yeah, actually, so this kind of phenomenon is also exists in other places, right? And the top down, there is a huge gap between the top policy and also the practice in the local area. Yeah, and so for this kind of, this kind of conflicts, yeah. So do you think that is there is a way to work this out?
Uh, I think the fundamental way to solve this problem is that to perfect Chinese legal infrastructure. Because when something becomes a law and people will regard it very seriously. If you just implement the laws selectively, and then that will be problematic. So if China wants to root out problems like child admission, China needs to perfect its legal infrastructure and build China into a society of rule of laws.
Yeah, I see. So like the Shandong education, maybe sometimes and need to let some sunshine in, right?
Yeah, of course, of course.
I see. Yeah, interesting. And so the final question is like, and do you have any suggestions and for anyone who is interested in Shandong education and who may want to do some study, like similar to your field?
Uh, I think several suggestions. First, if you are interested in child education, you want to write something about or do research about child education, you can read a systematic review about child education, and you can quickly identify the research gaps and to find your research focus. This is the first suggestion. Secondly, to follow up some, leading researchers like Mark Bray, Zhang Wei, and Dr. Nuza Kalbahaidze, and those leading scholars in child education research field. And then you can you know what they are thinking about child education. This is the second suggestion. Thirdly, you can also follow up, those leading journals publishing child education, like the Asia Pacific Journal of Education or something just like that, and you can know the current trends in researching child education. So in this way, you can know the cutting edge research in this field.
Yeah, very good suggestions. I mean, yeah, so to briefly summarize it, so the first one is to read some systematic literature review articles. So the second one is to follow the work of the leading scholars in the field. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I think they are very useful suggestions. I mean, yeah, for the new researchers. Yeah. And so finally, so this is like so this is the end of our conversation for today. And so which is a fantastic, I think a very good explanation to your recent publication on Shandong admission. And thank you so much for your time.
Okay, my pleasure.
Thank you. Looking forward to meeting you again in the future. Thank you.
In Macau or Hong Kong or mainland China.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.